Ever wondered how the infamously rotund Henry VIII kept himself clean during his reign? Let's travel back to the 16th century, where the concept of hygiene was, well, a bit different. Bathing was considered risky, as water was believed to carry diseases. So, how did King Henry tackle the stench? By dousing himself in perfumes, of course. Fragrant oils and sweet scents were his shield against body odor, so it seems Henry VIII might have been more aromatic than we'd like to imagine. Now, let's dive into the world of Tudor medicine. Would you believe me if I told you that they thought bad smells caused diseases? Yes, indeed. The miasma theory was all the rage during the reign of Henry VIII. It was widely believed that diseases were caused by bad air, or miasma, foul-smelling air emanating from decaying organic matter. This theory guided medical practices for generations, leading to some, well, let's call them unorthodox treatments. One such treatment was bloodletting, often performed with the help of our slimy friends, the leeches. The idea here was to remove excess blood to restore the body's balance. And you might be asking, balance of what? Well, that brings us to another cornerstone of Tudor medicine, the balance of the four humours. The four humours were thought to be bodily fluids that needed to be in perfect balance for good health. These were blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile. If you were feeling under the weather, it was because these humours were out of whack. So to fix you up, a Tudor doctor might prescribe a good bloodletting session, or perhaps a concoction to make you vomit or purge. And speaking of doctors, let's not forget about the king's personal physician. This chap had some truly bizarre treatments up his sleeve, including potions made from crushed pearls and concoctions using gold. Medicine sure has come a long way since the days of leeches and miasma. I'd ever heard of a gong farmer? No, they weren't farming gongs, but something far less pleasant. In the era of Henry VIII, the gong farmer had a very important, albeit dirty, role. Their job was to dispose of human waste. That's right, they were the unsung heroes responsible for maintaining sanitation in the cities. This was a time when indoor plumbing was non-existent, and cities were often riddled with waste. The gong farmers would work under the cover of darkness, removing the waste from cesspits, privies, and even the streets. They would then transport it outside the city limits. While it was a hazardous job with the constant threat of disease, it was also a necessary one. Without them, the cities would have been overrun with waste, leading to even worse health conditions. So the next time you take modern plumbing for granted, remember the gong farmers. They braved the filth and the stench to keep the cities clean. Next time you flush your toilet, spare a thought for the gong farmers of old. Henry VIII was known for his opulent fashion, but was it as glamorous as it seemed? Let's delve into the less shiny side of the monarch's wardrobe. The king was famed for his extravagant attire, with layers upon layers of richly embroidered fabric. However, the reality behind these garments was far from the royal image. Clothing during Henry VIII's reign was seldom washed. Yes, you heard that right. The outer garments were brushed to remove dirt, while the inner linens were occasionally laundered. This infrequent washing led to a build-up of dirt and sweat, creating an unpleasant odor. Moreover, the dyes used to color the fabrics were often toxic, posing a health risk to the wearer. And let's not forget the elaborate outfits. The king's clothes were heavy, uncomfortable, and impractical. Imagine wearing several layers of clothing, heavily embroidered and decorated with jewels in the middle of summer. So the king's clothes might have been more about style than cleanliness. Now brace yourself for the pièce de résistance, the food of Henry VIII's court. Ever fancied swan or peacock for dinner? Well, the Tudor court was a place of culinary adventure, to put it mildly. This was a time when the nobility indulged in the exotic and the extravagant. Rare birds such as swan and peacock graced the banquet tables, their feathers reattached post-cooking for a grand display, of course. And let's not forget the offal, the internal organs of animals, considered a delicacy and served up in a variety of creative ways. The king's feasts were notorious for their excess. Imagine tables groaning under the weight of meats, pastries, and heavily spiced dishes, all washed down with copious amounts of ale and wine. Nutrition was a concept yet to be discovered, and the idea of a balanced diet would have been as foreign as the spices they liberally sprinkled on their food. So, are you still fancying that Tudor banquet?